Hi everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation, and tonight I'm going to attempt to show you how I made my double paper bag pages for these mini albums that I did and showed you in the last couple of videos that I did. You'll remember the recipe book that I made, and I came up with some pages using 2 paper bags to create nice big pages. I also came up with this envelope gusseted pocket page and some other pages in this book. You can go back to my YouTube channel and check out the rest of that video and see all the pages, but then I also have the ladies' diary that I use the same kind of pages with a few different little twists in it. Oh, excuse my notes there. With some extra flaps and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you how I did all of that tonight. Hopefully I can do this quickly and easily, and if you have any questions, please, let me know. First of all, I just wanted to show you the bags that I used for the homemade album were by Celebrate It, and they were these big bags that were 4.7 inches by 2.8 inches by 8.9 inches. I used the smaller Celebrate It bags for the ladies' diary, and I don't have the package, so I'm sorry I can't tell you exactly how big they are right now. Point is, you can use any size paper bags that you have. So depending on the size of the bags, obviously they're going to be doubled, so your pages will be that much bigger. But anyways, that's what I used. And then I just, for the homemade album, I just picked up, some envelopes. I used craft because I just wanted to use everything craft to match the paper bags. If you use white paper bags, for example, you'd probably want to use white envelopes. And then I found these nifty little paper pockets that I used in my homemade mini album as well. You can pretty much use anything you want for that. So anyways, let's get started. The first thing I did was I made my binding, and I wanted to go ahead and do 8 pages in the homemade album, and I did 6 in the ladies' diary. You can do whatever you wanted. I used Laura Dennison's Stack the Deck binding, but I used 3/8 inch gusset spaces. So to do that for this album, you would need one piece that is the height of your pages. The first one being 1 3/8, the second one being 2 1/8, and then the third being 2 7/8. And then on each of these you would score at the ½ inch mark on both sides, and then you stack them together. And I'm sure everybody is very well aware of how to do that binding. If you want to put 8 pages, then you need another piece, 3 5/8 inch. And then again, all of these are scored at the ½ inch mark, and then you stack them up. You adhere them down really well. I use score tape to do that. Works great. I love score tape. I love score tape. I love score tape. So anyways, that's what I did for the binding. So I just wanted to let you guys know that right off the bat, that's how I bound the books. And then I did a few little interesting things with the binding, and I'll show you that in a minute as I get to the pages. So here's my stack of stuff I've prepared. Let's first start with, let me make sure I'm still in frame here. I am. Okay, so the first thing that I did is that I trimmed my paper bags to 8 inches across. I'm going to have 2 bags that are going to stack up like this. So essentially that's the double page right there. But how to connect them to make them so that they don't flip around independently. I wanted them to be one straight page. And I also wanted them to be a little bit sturdy, because paper bags are not that sturdy. Even if you use patterned paper on them, they're still going to be kind of flimsy. So anyways, what I did was I made a tube, and for the tube, this is it. I measured the paper bag. If you look at your paper bag, when you open it up on the side there, this point right here where that comes together at that V, from here to the end of the bag, and that was 6.5 inches. And then what I did was I measured this space here and doubled it. because that is going to be this area, and if I can get my fingers to work, I'll show you right here. Okay, so what I did was I cut a piece of cardstock and I made a tube. It's 6.5 inches because it's going to lay like this by 6 inches. And then because what I did was when I measured this width and this width, I got 2 3/4 inches. I needed another 2 3/4 inches, and then a half for a tab. So once I cut all that out, I hope this is making sense. Y'all please let me know. When I did that, then I ended up with a piece that looks like this. So then basically all you do is you fold it over and do that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you exactly how to put this page together. So I made this tube. Okay, so there it is. And then what I did was I put it in here. I'm going to get this bag out of the way for a second, and I hope you can see this. I put it in there to where that point is, flush on this side, and whoops, let me use the other bag because I prepared the other bag. Okay, let's start over. Okay, so you'll put score tape on the edges here. You'll line it up with this X, or this little point there, flush with here, and holding it very, very still and steady, take off that score tape and adhere it down. And then you can take that score tape off and adhere it down. Same for the other side. I put score tape there, and I put score tape there, and I adhered it down. So this is going to be the top of my page, and then I have this connecting tube. Now you're probably thinking, why would I want to do that? I want to keep the integrity of the bag so I can actually still open the bag up. I wanted to connect the pages, and this gives it a lot of really good sturdiness. And then it also gives you a cute little pocket so you could put another extra tag in there. So it works just great. So when you go to do the second bag, then basically all you have to do is butt them up and secure them, and you're done. That is the basic page. And I'm going to double check, make sure, yeah, we are in frame. So now the other thing that I did with my bags is that in my homemade album, I reversed some of the pages. And all you have to do for that is just to simply turn the bag over and adhere it this way. So when you're making these pages, plan your pages, make sure you've got them oriented the way you want them. Okay? So this was the other bag assembly that I made. And then this, right here, if you glue the top and the bottom here, it creates a nice little pocket for things, and then this becomes kind of a page that you can do things on. And then when you flip your page over, the top back becomes the page, and then you have another pocket here. If you want to keep everything, whoops, excuse me, now I'm throwing things. I wonder if you guys can hear my husband's band. They're in the garage practicing right now. Doing a little China Grove. I'm liking it. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Anyway, so then if you put your bags like this, and of course you're going to adhere them down, you've got a couple options here. So you have the option of adhering this down with some liquid glue is my preference, and I love Scotch quick dry adhesive. Go ahead and put a little adhesive there and an adhesive there, and makes a pocket here, and then you can make a pocket here. If you want one large pocket, which is one of the different page assemblies that I did, then just put the glue here and here. Don't put anything right here, and then that creates a nice big pocket for you. And then you could take a nice piece of pattern paper and put it over there. Okay? So I hope that kind of makes sense. So that's kind of my base page that I did. Now there's some options that you can do, and I'm going to get this out of the way. I made lots of models for this because I was trying really hard to show you all of the different bags, and I'm hoping that I don't have to do this in 2 videos, but I might, because this is getting quite a lot. So anyway, so here's another base page that I've already glued together. So you've got your 2 bags adhered down to the pocket there, and then so here's option number 1, and just some cardstock to show you. You make a whole page pocket, you put glue here and here, and this becomes a whole pocket. Okay? And for my bags, these are the measurements. So you'll have to measure your bags that you use. Make sure that you got the right thing. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is to make 2 small pockets. So again, you would, and I like a little border around to see the bag, the actual craft paper bag. So then that would make 2 small pockets. Put glue here, 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 and here. 2 small pockets. Okay? And then option number 3 is something that you have to plan for. This is in the Lady's Diary book. I made some flaps that covered these pocket pages. Okay, so I basically just measured it and cut a piece of paper that will flip up and made an extra flappy page. What you can't really adhere it down to the top of these bags, so you have to plan for this, and you have to actually create these flaps before you put them on the tube, because they're going to go in the gusset is where you're going to want to glue them. And you're going to have to cut an extreme angle because of the angle of the bag there. So I just basically put some score tape on that 1/2 inch flap that I created and glued that down, and then that created my flap page. And it still preserved the gusset so that I could use the pocket to its max. Okay? So that's how I did that. And why you have to plan ahead is because this is already adhered down. So you're going to want to make sure you put the flaps down on the bottom pocket if you want them before you put the tube on. So that's what I meant by that. And then, let's see, what was this? Oh, this was a fun thing. So in my Lady's Diary, I did another thing. So what I did was I cut a piece of cardstock that fit the page here. Okay, so I'm just going to put it on top of the flap here just to show you. So if you take these flaps and you fold it like this, this kind of makes a flap. So I took a piece of cardstock and I actually adhered it underneath this, which created another flappy page like that. Okay, and then I just put a piece of pattern paper over here, and then it covered the bottom of the bag and then made this really cute little flip. You could also go ahead and glue here on the underside, glue up here, down here, and here, and then create another pocket if you wanted to on this side as well. But so I did that. And then the other thing I did in the Lady's Diary was that I did it to both pages. So I just basically took a piece of pattern paper, adhered it to these flaps here so that the page flipped like that. So it created another place to have a page. Okay? And again, go back and look at my videos on my homemade recipe album and my Lady's Diary album, and it will show you all of these things. You know, I went through the whole entire book. Okay, so then when you turn this page over, here's some other options that I did. I went ahead and cut huge flaps, and you can do this 2 different ways. You can do a flap that will, now I can't get it to work. So you can measure your pocket page, and I cut a big piece of paper and then made a flap that went like this. Okay? Or you can do a flap that will open to the side. Okay? Now, the flap that goes in the top, I adhered it in the gusset area, but the flap on the side, obviously, because the holes of the bags are right there, you can't really do that, so I'd adhere it here. And I used craft cardstock to do that, and then, you know, put pattern paper over the top of it. So that was the other option that you can do with those bags. So then, oh, and here's the other thing too. In my recipe album, I created tags that fit in the tubes that you could put recipe cards in. So basically, I just measured the tube. I multiplied it by 2 so that I could fold it and insert it into the tube there. And I cut it a little bit longer than the actual tube length, and then used my We Are Memory Keepers envelope maker to create these little file pulls. Okay? So that's how I did that. Pretty simple stuff. So then, let's see, what's next here? I made, in my homemade album, I made this envelope page, and let me show you that. It's an envelope page that has 2 envelopes, so it has a pocket here, it has a pocket in the middle, and then it has a pocket over here, because this is the other envelope. Let me show you how I did that. So basically, all I did with that was, I have 2 envelopes, and I cut the flaps off of both of them, okay? Then what I did was I measured this length here, and I cut a piece that was 2 inches wide by that length, and then I scored it at every 1/2 inch. So then what you get is that W shape. And then all I did was put some score tape on there, and I adhered it here. Let me show you here real quick. To the edge right there, and then to the edge, let me get my envelope size, right here. So then what that did, and I did it to both sides, so what that did was I did it to the back of the envelope, so I have the pocket here, and you can see the flap there, and then it created the pocket in the middle, and then it created, you know, this pocket here. And then this edge right here is what I put onto the binding. So that's how I fit it onto the binding. And then once I did that, somebody had asked me how I made the file folders. So I'll show you real quick how I made the file folders that I put in those pockets. Basically just did some measurements to make sure that it fit in my envelopes here. And so basically this was 11.5 by 8 inches, so 8 inches here by 11.5. I scored it 6 inches here, and then that left 5.5, so there's a nice little area, you know, little like a tab area. And then all I did to make the file folders was to take my envelope maker, and I punched the edge to make that, and then I lined it up. I wanted like at 3 inches. So I lined the edge up to 3 inches. I punched again. That creates the tab for your file folder. And then all you have to do is cut off the edge. Let me do that real quick to show you. And the nifty thing about this is it's at 3/8 of an inch. So if you have this Tim Holtz ruler, it works awesome for measuring 3/8 inch. And just slice it off. Make sure you only go to your tab. Don't go through the tab. And there you go. File folder. So you can do it on either side and create file folders to go into that envelope. So that's what I did with that. Then, let's see. You know, I might have to stop right there for this video because this is getting too long. And I'll come back, I'll do another video, and I will show you how I created the other pages. And then I'll show you a couple things on how I bound it together. So I hope that's okay, and I will get another video done here pretty soon, and I will see you later. Stay crafty, everybody.